Happy Wednesday, crafting friends. Oh, I'm so excited to share with you today's What's She Making Wednesday video. We are going to do watercoloring the easy way, and we're going to be using the Perched in a Tree stamp set today. I love this. It's in our annual catalog. It's this super cute bird, and it's got some great sentiments. No matter the season, I'm here for you. Let heaven and nature sing. Wishing you abundant joy and peace. That's what we're going to use today. And your kindness warms my heart. Such a good sentiment for, right? Thank you cards, almost anything. And I really, really love this little speckled stamp right here. We're going to use that one today. And then, of course, our branch and a background stamp as well. So let's get started. As always, if you want the step-by-step instructions and the measurements for today's card, I send them out every Thursday for free, a free tutorial PDF in my weekly Buzz Bulletin. So if you aren't already subscribed to that, you can subscribe to that below for free. You can also go to stampinqueenbee.com and subscribe there as well. If you're looking for past tutorials, they are all housed on there also. All right, well, we are going to make this fun Perched in a Tree card, and we're going to be using some very vanilla, and we're going to watercolor our bird and our branch the easy way. So I don't know about you, but sometimes watercoloring can be a bit intimidating, right? Because we got to use the watercolor paper, and then we need to use our stays on ink, and we need to get out our brushes, and we feel like we need to be this super great artist and be able to blend and watercolor seamlessly, right? So I'm going to show you today an easy way where the products can actually be the artist for us, right? They can really help us in the blending and in the watercoloring to really make our bird and our branch look super watercolored, but easily, right? Without a lot of effort. So I'm going to bring in first a piece of very vanilla, and let's do some stamping, and then we'll get into our easy watercoloring. So we're going to be using our Pebbled Path ink pad today. Loving this color because it really is, it's kind of like a brownish gray, kind of takes on either one. And so I've already got our stamps mounted, so we're going to start off with our branch here, and we're going to ink up our branch into our Pebbled Path. And we're just gonna go ahead and stamp our branch kind of at an angle towards the bottom, just like so. Then we're gonna ink up our bird, also in that pebbled path. Make sure we've got our ink on there. And then this one, they are red clings, so we can't see through them to line them up, but I just kind of try to line the feet as close as I can to that branch. If it's not exact, it's okay. There we go. Just so he looks like he's or she is sitting on our branch there. Okay, so I'm going to close up our pebbled path for a minute, and we're going to go ahead and watercolor our bird here. So there's a couple ways you can watercolor. Of course, you can use ink from our ink pads or our re-inkers, and you can put them on the back side of an acrylic block. You can stamp into the ink, get some ink on there, use some brushes and brush and try to watercolor. But you can also use that same technique with our water painters, right? Which are the brushes. They have a self-contained water in here, which is probably my second choice in watercoloring because I don't have to dip in and out of water, right? So I love our water painters for that when I'm using ink. But today we're gonna do it the easy way. So we are gonna use our watercolor pencils, and these are great. I love to keep them in an empty stamp case. So you can actually buy a pack of, I think it's 4 of them in a pack of our empty stamp cases, and they're great for holding like your stamp chamois, to clean your stamps. It's great to hold your watercolor pencils. Our watercolor pencils come in 2 sets, so there's 2 variety of colors, and what I love about them is they're not just basic reds and greens, they're actually our Stampin' Up! color family colors. So they will coordinate with our papers, with our inks to be able to color coordinate and match everything well. So I just love to keep them in here, keeps them all nice. I don't have to worry about the box or anything like that. So I've already pulled our colors that we're gonna use today. So we're gonna use some black, we're gonna use some basic gray, we're going to use some pumpkin pie and some coastal cabana. So we're gonna use those. So the easy way that we're gonna watercolor without having to use water, without having to use brushes, is by using our blender pens. So this is not to be confused with our Stampin' blends, which is our alcohol markers, but our blender pens come in a set of 3, and they are a brush tip end, and there's no color to them. There's like, look, nothing, no color to them, but they really just help you blend ink seamlessly. So whether it's pencil or ink, it really helps you to blend them. So we're gonna use that. So let's lay down some color first. So notice on our bird, you can do them in any color variations. In fact, I was practicing before this, and so you can see I did the same technique with these. I used some red colored pencils here, and some cherry cobbler a bit, some crushed curry, and some daffodil delight, some a basic gray and the basic black, along with, ooh, my favorite, who knows what color that is, our melon mambo with a bit of pink, and also our greens to create all these fun different colored birds, right? They don't have to be any certain color. You can really coordinate them with whatever you're doing. So today we're gonna make this fun guy. And so we're gonna first start with our basic black. So even though it's a black, like notice our bird is not black here, but it does lay down some darker bits. So one thing I really appreciate about our Stampin' Up! Images is when we stamp them, the artisans of Stampin' Up! Already put in the different highlights in the stamps, right? So there's already the different details. And so those highlights to me are where we want to lay down the darkest of our colors. So I'm just going in really loosely with our basic black, just along kind of the back side and outline of our bird here. Just laying down some of that. Remember, very loosely. So I'm not like detailing the lines a ton. I'm not being super specific. And then I'm just kind of going, once I kind of darken where I want to, then I'm just kind of laying down just a bit of filling in. Okay, and then we're gonna take our basic gray pencil and we're gonna kind of do the same thing. So right along the bottom here, just along those details. I did put them a little bit in on here, even though we're gonna have our greenish blue up there. And then we'll fill in with our light color here. Okay, now we're gonna take our pumpkin pie for the beak, add that in. That's the quickest part, right? And then we'll come in with our blue here up in the top. So just kind of darker around the edges here, and then we'll just fill it in. And then on these details, again, just a tiny bit darker. Okay, now we'll take our branch. We've got our early espresso here, and I'm gonna do the same thing along these detail lines, just kind of darken those first. Notice very loosely, not worrying about lines or anything like that. So I do want to point out, let me zoom this a bit. You can see, if I could just leave it just like this, but what I see in there is lots of lines from my coloring, right? So it makes it look like I colored it. Well, now in here, let me just show you the difference with these two kind of side by side. So here's our one I colored and then blended, and the difference between the one that I just colored. Such a difference, right? Okay, so now let's see some blender pen magic. So here's the brush end of it. And all we're gonna do so easily is we're just gonna kind of color with this clear blender pen right over what we colored. And so I like to color in circular motion just so that it kind of blends it real seamlessly. And then I just kind of go a little bit out on the edge of our branch. And then when we want to change colors, we're just going to go on our scrap paper and just kind of color off to make sure that there's no residual color, right? We don't need brown in our blue or anything. So then I'm going to go in here on our blue and do the same thing. So I'm just coloring circular motion with my blender pen. And you can see already, in fact, let me see if I can zoom this a little bit for you. Okay, so you can see already as I'm going circular motion that it really just took those lines and so seamlessly brought them together. Okay, and then we're gonna move on to our gray. So we'll just color off any of the blue that's on there. I hope you guys can see this. There, that might be a bit better. Okay, so now watch these gray lines just seamlessly come together. So just circular motion. So I'm just coloring kind of in small little circles. I go along the dark parts first, just to get them all blended out. And then I just kind of lightly and loosely go right over the lighter areas. And wow, can you see that? How it just comes together, makes our bird really come to life. And just took it from all those lines, right? And just a tiny bit on our beak there. Just took it from those lines and brought our bird to life. And I love a little bit of white here and there, so you'll notice there is some little white splotches. I kind of like those. Just makes it look just that much more realistic, right? Okay, so now let's finish up our card. You can also go back in a minute or two if you feel like it needs a little bit more darkening or lightening anywhere. Add a little bit more color with our pencils and then just do the same process over. You just want to make sure you don't use the blender pen too much, too wet over and over and over again, because you don't want to put any holes in the paper, but you can keep adding if you give some time in between. Okay, so we're gonna come back to our pebbled path here. Let's add our sentiment. So we're using wishing you abundant joy and peace. We're just gonna put this kind of on the top right of our card. And then I told you one of my favorite stamps in this set that you really could use on so many cards is the speckle. So again, we're just using Pebbled Path ink today, and we're just gonna take these little speckles and just kind of fill it in to give the card, I'm just kind of going around, turning my page, giving this just a little bit of interest and also filling in a little bit of that blank space. So there we've got our filled in kind of extra interest there, right? Okay, so I'll close that up. And now we're gonna bring in just a very vanilla card base. I'm gonna bring in some Stampin' dimensionals here. And on the back of our bird piece that we just colored, we're gonna go ahead and add in our dimensionals just right along the back there. Peel off the backings, so easy peasy. And we'll go ahead and adhere this just to the center of our same Very Vanilla card base. So I love kind of using this vanilla on vanilla because it just kind of makes it pop when you add those dimensionals, right? And then last but certainly not least, to finish up our card, we're gonna pull in some classic matte dots. And there's white, very vanilla, there's black, and then there's also these pretty grays. So we're gonna go ahead and pull in 3 of those. And we'll just go ahead and I'm using my take your pick tool here to just peel these off. I think my finger's getting in the way. There we go. And let's see, we'll put one here, and then let's get one of these smaller ones. We'll put it just right there. Okay, so those are our classic matte dots, and our bird would be just totally great like that. So one last little addition that I did, and hopefully you can see it if the light can catch it there, is I just added a tiny bit of our Wink of Stella. So this is our glitter pen, and it's so easy. You just shake it up. I did that right before. And then again, in circular motion, I'm just kind of going on there just a little bit in that blue to just give it just a tiny bit of shine. And I don't know if the camera is picking that up, but it just gives it a little bit of extra interest there if you want. So those are our super cute, super fun, perched in a tree cards with easy watercoloring. I can't wait to see what you create with our blender pens and our watercolor pencils for that easy watercoloring, what tips you might have picked up, and maybe in the comments tell me which of the birds coloring do you love the most. I'll see you next week.